I'm an avid youth jiu-jitsu competitor, and here's some things I do to accelerate my training and maximize results. First of all, I'm not a professional by any means, but there may be some tips that I share with you that may accelerate your training and maximize your results as well. This is a very specific tip to youth athletes, but training in an adult class opposed to a kids class is a lot more efficient for your results. Now, I'm not saying throw little Timmy who's 4 years old into a full-blown adult class, because that won't go over well. Once you get to an appropriate age of around 11, 12, maybe even 13, and you start to feel comfortable, you could definitely look into doing adult classes on top of your kids' classes, or just doing the adult classes. My entire 2.5 years of training have been training with adults. I've done one kids class that I was way too big for, and then immediately went up to the adult class, which I believe had a massive effect on how I take in knowledge. Training with adults also gives you a lot higher level reactions, which is more realistic. Tip number 2 is definitely more broad. It's practice the things you're bad at or don't want to do. And trust me, I know that sucks, but it's something that you have to get used to if you want to get any better at jiu-jitsu. For example, my first few local competitions, I had no idea how to wrestle effectively. And it wasn't because of anything like I didn't want to do it or anything like that. It was mainly because I was a part of a hobbyist environment and nobody really did want to wrestle. Then I found out that there was a wrestling class at a far more competitive gym. So I ended up going there to try to perfect my wrestling. On the other hand, if it's just something you don't want to do, I'll provide an example of what happens. Joe Blow doesn't really like working back defense, so he just decides not to. And you know what happens? Every time I take Joe Blow's back, I submit him. If you plan on being a competitor or just getting somewhat good, you need to work on your weaknesses, because if you don't, people will exploit them. A third tip that is also a little bit more broad is record and journal your training. Now, I'm not saying go start a mediocre YouTube that doesn't even have 500 subscribers, because who would even do that? But just record your rounds, or at least just one, so you have something to look back on after training to evaluate what you could have done better and what you did right. Another thing that I like to do is journaling. Just write down what you did in that class or what you did in that day, just so we have an overview of what you did. Tip number 4 is watch the best in the world and see what techniques they're using. And that doesn't mean just watching tape, which also is a very, very good idea. But watching matches and seeing what techniques they use, what submissions they try to pull off, everything like that. Chances are, if you see a high-level jiu-jitsu competitor pull off a submission, it's probably legit, and it's definitely worth looking into. Also, picking grapplers that have a similar body type and style to you would definitely be beneficial to look at. Number 5 is super self-explanatory, but it's simply compete. Competition gives you an intensity that you're not likely to see in a training room. There's a reason that competitors are better than hobbyists. It's because they're used to that intensity. Now, am I saying you have to go to 80cc Opens and IBJJF and all those things? No. Even a local tournament could benefit your training. The best part is, if you win, you get used to that intensity and you probably get like a $4 gold medal. And if you lose, then you still get the experience and you also get an idea of what you need to work on. And then finally, my last tip, try to lift weights a little bit more. I'm not saying that you have to get big and bulky, take steroids and all of that shit. But in jiu-jitsu, your joints move in ways they're not supposed to, so moving them the right way every once in a while can definitely be beneficial. In other words, injury prevention and weightlifting go hand in hand. Weightlifting keeps you on the mats. It also can affect strength, obviously, and explosiveness. The one thing you need to remember is that you're lifting weights in order to complement your jiu-jitsu. So if you're getting too sore from your weightlifting sessions to go to jiu-jitsu, then maybe you should tone it back a little bit. What I do is I make an effective schedule. Since my gym is so far away, I can only afford to train about 4 days a week. So the days that I'm not at the gym training, I'm at home lifting weights. Anyways, those are some tips that I use to get better at jiu-jitsu. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you could please subscribe, it'd mean a lot.